Get ready to explore a variety of cross-stitch techniques and create some stunning designs. To get started, we'll need Aida cross-stitch fabric. I'm using a fabric count of 14, meaning there are 14 squares or stitches per inch. Before we start stitching the patterns, I'm going to stitch running stitches on my Aida fabric to create 10 squares, each measuring 30 by 30 counts. You can download all the patterns and start stitching right away. I have fixed my fabric into my 12-inch embroidery hoop, making sure it's nice and taut. Then I've attached the hoop to my hoop stand. This will allow me to record a steady video and stitch comfortably. Let's start with our first pattern, a charming bird. For this design, I'm using double cross stitch and Victorian cross stitch. The double cross stitch is essentially two cross stitches stacked on top of each other, creating a thicker, more defined stitch. The regular cross stitch, on the other hand, involves creating an X shape with your stitches, adding a decorative element. Next, we have a cactus vase, and for this I'm using the Montenegrin cross stitch. This stitch creates a unique textured effect, different from the double cross stitch we used earlier. The Montenegrin cross stitch involves creating a series of diagonal stitches that cross over each other, forming a distinct pattern. It's great for adding depth and texture to your designs. Again, you'll see regular cross stitch used to fill in some sections of the cactus and vase. Our third pattern is a delicious piece of avocado. For this design, I'm using the chain cross stitch. This stitch creates a continuous chain-like effect, adding a flowing and organic feel to the avocado. The chained cross stitch involves creating a series of looped stitches that are linked together, forming a chain. It's perfect for creating outlines and adding a sense of movement to your designs. I'm using various shades of green, brown, and beige to capture the avocado's natural colors. The woven cross stitch creates a textured and dimensional effect, while the Victorian cross stitch adds a touch of elegance to the flower's center. The woven cross stitch involves weaving your thread through the existing cross stitches, creating a raised and textured effect. It's a great way to add depth and dimension to your designs. Our fifth pattern is a delicate butterfly, and for this I'm using the Italian cross stitch. This stitch creates a unique and intricate pattern, adding a touch of sophistication to the butterfly's wings. Did you know that cross-stitch has been around for centuries, with evidence of its use dating back to ancient Egypt and China? It's a timeless craft that has evolved and adapted over time, with different cultures developing their own unique stitches and patterns. The Italian cross stitch involves creating a series of diagonal stitches that cross over each other in a specific sequence, forming a decorative pattern. Our sixth pattern is a fox head, and for this I'm using the Belgian cross stitch. This stitch creates a detailed and textured effect, perfect for capturing the fox's features. The Belgian cross stitch involves creating a series of diagonal stitches that cross over each other in a specific way, forming a slightly elongated and textured stitch. Our seventh pattern is a vibrant strawberry, and for this I'm using the Eastern stitch. I'm using red and 2 shades of green for this pattern. This stitch is a bit different from the others, creating a slightly raised and textured effect. The Eastern stitch involves creating a series of diagonal stitches that are slightly offset from each other, forming a unique and textured pattern. Throughout all these patterns, I'll also be using the regular cross stitch, creating simple X stitches to fill in areas and provide a foundation for the more intricate designs. Our eighth pattern is a delicate leaf, and for this I'm using the German long arm stitch. This stitch creates a beautiful and elongated stitch, perfect for capturing the leaf's shape. You can also experiment with different colors for this design. The German long arm stitch involves creating a series of long diagonal stitches that are anchored with a shorter stitch at each end, forming a distinct and elongated pattern. Our ninth pattern is a heart and star design, and for this I'm using the sorbello stitch. This stitch creates a beautiful and intricate pattern, perfect for capturing the delicate shapes of the heart and star. Follow my steps carefully to recreate this design. The sorbello stitch involves creating a series of looped stitches that are anchored with a small stitch at the center, forming a decorative and intricate pattern. Our final pattern is a beautiful flower vase, and for this I'm using both half cross stitch and cross stitch. The half cross stitch creates a lighter and more delicate effect, while the cross stitch adds depth and texture. The half cross stitch is simply a single diagonal stitch, while the cross stitch is two diagonal stitches that cross over each other. Try experimenting with different colors and fabric counts to create your own unique designs. Use a needle threader to make threading your needle easier, and don't be afraid to get creative and add your own personal touch to the patterns.